because unto that period of the 13th, 14th century, all writings, everything written was done in Latin. And a very, very small percentage of the population got the opportunity to learn Latin. So for most people, they had no idea, no access to the information. So Francis decided to write using the local spoken language. And he wrote some very important pieces of literature. In fact, in prayers, which you will see translated and available in the little shops around the hotel. He wrote, for example, the Canticle of the Animals, the Canticle of the Sun. So not only, as I said, is an important religious figure, but also a very, very important figure in so religious plus literary as well. So when he died in 1226, it caused a lot of controversy within the church, because there were the people who wanted to build a big basilica and have him buried in a big basilica, and the people who followed Francis said no, that's not what he would have wanted. They would want, if there was money, to give it to the poor, not to build a big basilica. But whether he liked it or not, he got this huge basilica, and it is really something very, very special, because not only is there an upper basilica on one level, there's a lower basilica, and on another level below that is where Francis is buried. And that's what you can go into, and I hope you spend time and enjoy it this afternoon. And another thing I just want to mention is his love of nature and animals. In fact, maybe as you were growing up, you saw or heard about St. Francis. There is Assisi right there. Look out the window. Can you see it on the side of the hill? Huh? Can you see the town? Here's Assisi. And he had a great love of animals and nature. So when you were growing up, you might have seen photos of Francis speaking to the birds. He had that ability to speak to animals, and it was well known for his ability to speak to animals. In fact, there's a very, very beautiful story here in Umbria that children, parents for generations have told their children, and it's a story about a wolf. One of the towns, maybe an hour from here, had a big problem with a wolf, because the wolf had killed the sheep outside the walls of the town. And because the children didn't go to school in those days, they stayed outside and played in the fields while their parents tended to the crops and to the animals. The parents are very, very worried that this wolf would kill and eat their children. So they asked Francis to go to the town and speak to the wolf. So at sunset, when all the farmers went back inside the wall, inside the town, Francis came out and he waited for the wolf. And the wolf came up to Francis, crouched down, ready to jump at him, until Francis spoke to him. And as he started speaking, the wolf came up and put his paw on Francis. And Francis said, look here, you're causing problems for these people. They're very, very frightened. They're afraid that you will eat their children. Tell me, are you hungry? And the wolf said, yes, I am. He said, well, the people in the town have told me if you behave yourself, you can come and live inside the walls of the town, and you can live, and they will always look after you and they will feed you, but you can't cause them any problems. Well, the wolf thought this was an offer too good to be true, and he accepted this offer, and that's where he lived the rest of his life, inside the walls of the town. Now, you ask any child from this area, and they've heard that story, and their parents and their grandparents and their great-grandparents. I had a priest on my tour, I would say 5 or 6 years ago, and he said, but do you know the rest of the story? I said, no, what do you mean the rest of the story? And he said, well, they did some work on the original church inside the town. And they pulled down some of the new walls and they found the original smaller church, the original wall, and they found a plaque, and it said, beneath this plaque lay the bones of the wolf who lived inside the walls of the town. And that came from a priest who told me that. So, how about that?